On this special edition of Thursday Night Championship Rings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is your usual host, Brain of Lewis from Brain's World. Josh Ungar from the Ungar to the Max YouTube channel is not here tonight, as unfortunately he is battling an illness. So I have brought on a man that I have known for a long time. He's been on the Brain's World podcast. Those of you that have been listeners know his takes. You know, me and him agree to disagree on a lot of things, and I can't wait to get into all things Super Bowl, NBA, and WWE WrestleMania tonight. That being with my good friend, Jalen Sandvick. Jalen, welcome to Championship Rings.
Thank you guys for having me. First of all, Josh, I know you'll be watching. Get well soon, brother. I can never fill your shoes. I appreciate the spot, the offer, Brandon. And I'm sorry about the webcam, guys. Getting a new one. So if I'm ever back in this seat, you will see this pretty face.
Yeah, and so I hate to say it, but before we get into the Super Bowl game that obviously was a tremendous thrower down to the wire, we're both going to take a minute out of tonight's show and just the heinous, disgusting, and vile acts of what happened at yesterday's championship parade. And I think that we can all agree that it doesn't matter if you are a liberal, it doesn't matter if you are a conservative. Gun violence in this country is clearly messed up. It seems to be happening more at these mass gatherings, which is just sickening and disgusting. Kudos to all of those who stepped in and even tackled apparently one of the active shooters. What an act of courageous heroism. And we tonight pray for the young woman that lost her life and the kids who are reportedly in the hospital. Just a sad situation on what should have been a glorious day of Kansas City celebrating their back-to-back Super Bowl championships. Jalen, the floor is yours, my friend.
This is a little tough to speak about on air. Obviously, it's never easy to talk about a subject like this. I just want to say God bless all those families. I'm praying for you. Prayers are up. I appreciate Andy Reid, obviously. If you haven't read any of the articles, Andy Reid was there trying to comfort kids to the best of his ability. But whoever you are, just make sure you pray for them. And whoever did it, whoever shot at them, God's got a plan for you. And I really hope he makes you pay for this, because this is not okay. At the end of the day, we're all sports fans, regardless how you feel about the outcome of sports. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to take away from the pain of regular everyday activities. So at the end of the day, prayers up to you guys. You guys are strong, survivors. Stay strong. Everybody stay strong and stay safe. But prayers up to you guys.
So before we dive into sports tonight, obviously, as always, Championship Rings is a podcast with me and Josh Ungar, usually hosting this show every Tuesday night. And Josh is here in the comment section. So, Josh, we appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and put your comment on screen. Josh says it should have been a celebration for the Chiefs, but unfortunately it turned into a nightmare. And could not say it so better myself. As always, again, make sure that you subscribe to us right here on YouTube at Championship Rings 216. Follow us on our other social media platforms. We're on Twitter or X at Rings Champion, Instagram at Rings Champion, and Facebook, obviously, at Rings Champion 216. As tough as it's going to be tonight to do this show based on sports purely alone, we have to pivot, Jalen. Let's talk about the game. A game that I had predicted was going to be a low-scoring game, and it mostly was a low-scoring game until obviously midway for the third quarter when the game really picked up. I thought overall it was a game that I sort of expected, a field position battle, until obviously we got to the fourth quarter and overtime. And this is what I've been saying really over the last couple days is I think San Francisco, in my opinion, cost themselves the game by deciding to receive the football in overtime. I didn't care if their defense was tired, Jalen. I did not care that Patrick Mahomes just drove down on them at the end of regulation to kick that game tying field goal. I do not want, if I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan or team or player, whoever will you, I don't want Patrick Mahomes deciding my Super Bowl. And I think it's evident by the way Kansas City reacted that they were going to defer anyway. And the San Francisco's logic was, if we score and they score, then there's going to be a third round and we would get our chance. But from all indications on the Kansas City side, if San Francisco scored a touchdown, Kansas City was going to get a touchdown and go for two anyway for the win. So I didn't understand the strategy. I don't get people defending Shanahan on it. The firing of Steve Wilkes now is incredibly weird as well. But I mean, I thought overall the game was kind of what I expected it to be. The commercials were lacking this year, in my opinion. I didn't really find any of them funny. Hot take, I thought Usher was kind of trash at the halftime show myself. I don't know. It was one of those Super Bowls where for me, I don't love either of these teams, so it was sort of the lesser of two evils. But how did you view the fact that now Patrick Mahomes has his third Super Bowl MVP in the last 4 years?
No, I agree. I don't agree with Shanahan's choice there. You know it. I'm a big Shanahan guy. I've spoken on Shanahan very highly over these last couple of years, but I don't understand the call because obviously defer, right? Like you defer, you go down there, you score, and then you go and you play some defense. I agree. I don't care that the defense was tired. I don't care. This is the Super Bowl. You better get some adrenaline back. Let's go win this thing. There's no tomorrow. If you lose this game, there's no tomorrow. There's no next week. This is it. So, tired or not tired, go out there, play some defense, try to win the game. And that just didn't happen. And you're right, it was pretty much the lesser of two evils. And at that point, San Francisco, as a Lions fan, F you, San Francisco. So I was happy to see that. And I'm a Pat fan and a Trav fan. I'm a big New Heights guy. So I always tune into that. But yeah, it was the lesser two evils. Commercials were out of whack this year. Usher wasn't bad. I will say that. That's the one thing I disagree with you on is Usher was not trash. But yeah, it was a little weird. It didn't feel like Super Bowl Sunday. I'll tell you that much.
It did until the game started. And by the way, for everybody criticizing Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, I will maybe win the one person in the world that thought both of them did an excellent job throughout the game. I thought Tony was doing a great job explaining the fact that at the end of the first overtime, Kansas City did not have to rush to get that play in the end zone because they were just going to flip the quarter, which, I was sort of confused about until Bill Vinovich, who I thought explained it very well in the overtime period. Obviously before it started, which makes the whole decision, in my opinion, more baffling on San Francisco's part. It's like they didn't listen to Bill Vinovich when he explained the rules. I also thought the first half was very penalty. I mean, they didn't call one in the second half, but there was a holding call on San Francisco. There was a few false starts early. And for all of you that think that Kansas City gets all the calls, and I believe me, I was on the other side of this last year, but I thought San Francisco got a huge break on that third down holding call in overtime, and they still couldn't capitalize. Obviously, the Christian McCaffrey fumble, the fumble on the punt, which I thought really flipped the game, and then the blocked field goal. But what a lot of people are not talking about, I feel like, Jalen, is, Brock Purdy played well, but in my opinion, he didn't play great. And I know he got the extra point blocked, and I know Jennings for the touchdown, obviously. But I thought with those two huge field goals, and you can call me crazy if you want, but I thought if San Francisco won the game, you could make a real argument for the rookie kicker to be the damn Super Bowl MVP.
I never thought I'd live to hear the day where Brandon Lewis just said Brock Purdy played well.
I mean,
So
I thought he played okay. I didn't think he played great, but I thought the MVP of the game for them was Jake Moody. I mean, he hit two 50-yard field goals, and arguably, if it wasn't for the blocked extra point, which, you could say it was his fault for the way he projected. You could say it was, the offensive line's fault for not getting a push. But if he makes that extra point, we could be having a completely different conversation.
I'm glad we're not having that conversation. Screw San Fran and the 49ers, and that's a little bit of the pain shooting out from the Lions' loss. But like you know me, I'm a big college ball guy, right?
Yes,
So
you are. You're a big college football fan.
I am. And for those of you who don't know, I root for down here in Ohio. Big Buckeyes fan. Uh, I've watched a lot of Michigan games. That's what I like to do since they're our rivals. I dissect how they play. Jake Moody has kicked the ball like that, like low like that, ever since he's been in college. So
Interesting point.
this is nothing new, right? So guys were definitely studying this the Chiefs were definitely studying this because there's no way you can let a ball go through you. It basically goes straight through the line. That's not happening. There's no way. They are reading that and taking advantage of it. And that's all it was. And they did a great job. And that's why, how about them Chiefs? That's why.
Yeah, our man Josh Ungar is here in the comments saying he hates the Chiefs with a burning passion. I get it, especially as a fan of an AFC team. Obviously, as the NFC team, I got to go for San Francisco. You as a fan of NFC team, but you are also obviously hometown fan of the Browns. I get that. People don't like to say the same team over and over again, and I get the fact of there's fatigue. For me, and I don't really know where you stand on this, Jalen. There's some things about Kansas City, and I don't really like them, but I sort of respect them because one, just how great Patrick Mahomes is. I mean, he's just right there. There's already people comparing him with Tom Brady to be the greatest quarterback of all time. There's the Andy Reid connection, which there's some thought in the Philadelphia community that the Eagles fired Andy Reid when they shouldn't have, and I completely disagree with that because Andy Reid did not win Super Bowls until he got arguably the second best quarterback of all time. And then there's obviously the Travis Kelce connection and the Jason Kelce connection and that connection. And then there's the Taylor Swift connection, which, as I've been saying for the past month, it's a love story. And baby, you should all just say yes. And if you're mad at the fact that Taylor Swift is on your TV screen for 30 seconds of a whole NFL Super Bowl, then it just comes down to people that are lonely on Valentine's Day.
That was a nice Taylor Swift slide in right there. It is a love story, and baby, we should just say yes because Travis Swift is in full effect in Arrowhead. And guess what? Travis Kelce, to quote the sumo plate, to quote the parade, he said he blames it on his roots. He showed up wearing boots and ruined the Niners affair.
Man, I mean,
You
from
were
a
a
San
little sauce.
Francisco perspective, and here's why, as a fan of the Eagles, we don't like the Niners. And I said this: the Niners were crying all Super Bowl week about the grass they practice on was soft, and they got woken up at their team hotel, and they got screwed 2 years ago because Brock Purdy got hurt, and Patrick Mahomes beat him again. Boo hoo, boo hoo. You didn't get the job done. Your coach choked again. Kyle Shanahan is the modern day Andy Reid. And the fact of the matter is that Andy Reid, once he got Patrick Mahomes, stopped choking. And maybe this should tell you, San Francisco, Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo do not win you Super Bowls. This isn't 1998. Maybe someone should tell Bill Belichick this. It isn't 1998 where you can run the football, play defense, and win Super Bowls. San Fran, you did that for 3 quarters. Then what happened? Patrick Mahomes accumulated 399 yards of total offense. Travis Kelce had 8 catches for 92 yards in the second half alone. Montez Valdez, Scantling, and McCole Hardman caught touchdowns against your defense. and your great pass rush with Javon Hargrave, former Eagle, by the way, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Javon Kinlaw. They had a great first half. Where were they in the second half? Nowhere to be found. You didn't get screwed by the refs, as I alluded to it earlier. You actually got out by the refs on a very critical call. There was no controversial call on the Kansas City sideline. You just flat out choked this Super Bowl.
Yeah, all you fans, listen here and listen good. Listen to the words I'm about to speak. You guys are overrated. You guys suck. You can't get it done. You're not the guy, to quote my best friend Brandon Lewis. You are not. Brock Purdy is not the guy in the game in the moment. He's not it. Neither was Jimmy Garoppolo, neither is Kyle Shanahan, and neither are any of your bums. You guys are going back to San Francisco to cry for another 6 months while the Chiefs are doing it again. I love to see it. As a Lions fan, it brings joy to my heart, Brandon.
For the record, Jalen, San Francisco 49ers wide receivers had as many touchdown passes in the Super Bowl as Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. Oh my God, he should win MVP. Oh yeah, the MVP of what? The most average quarterback? That's what I'm getting.
I think that's what he is. I think he's the 16th best quarterback in football.
Give me Joe Flacco any day. Give me C.J. Stroud any day. Give me Jared Goff any day.
Absolutely, Jared Goff. I think you can make the argument, and this is a little bit off topic, but I'll just say this real quick because you're a Lions fan, so I'll say it. You can make the argument Jared Goff is the best quarterback in the NFC.
He's right behind Jalen. That's
Yeah, I mean, I think it's him, Jalen, and Jordan Love. I mean, I could make a case next year if Jordan Love pops again, Jordan Love takes the mantle.
Oh, I can see that for sure. But it's definitely not, to quote my friend Brandon Lewis, Brock Purdy.
All right, Jalen. So we've attacked this Super Bowl from every angle, but now we have to talk about next year. There has never been a team in the history of the National Football League as great as the New England dynasty was, as great as the Niners dynasty was in the 80s, as great as the Dallas dynasty was in the 90s, as great as Pittsburgh's dynasty was in the 70s. There has never been a team in the National Football League to repeat 3 straight times as NFL Super Bowl champions. But I got to tell you, as much as I hate to say it, I think out of all those dynasties I just mentioned, I think the Kansas City Chiefs have a good shot. I put it at a 6 or a 7 out of 10 to actually do it. And it's not because of their offense, it's because of that defense. Now, whether they bring back Chris Jones, whether they bring back Ladarius Sneed, I do think they find a way to get Chris Jones back. I do think they'll find a way to get Ladarius Sneed back. I think there's going to be sort of a one last run. Let's do this historically. As long as you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes on your side, I don't care if you're Baltimore. I don't care if you're Buffalo. I don't care if you're Miami. I've seen it. I've seen what this Kansas City Chiefs team can do now, whether it's road, home, neutral site. Maybe they do a slight upgrade at receiver. Maybe they upgrade their offensive tackles. But I think this team is obviously going to be right there again next year. I think Travis Kelce was waiting to the postseason to turn it on. I think he'll do it again next year. I think, Jalen, there is only one person in the AFC who can stop Patrick Mahomes. There's only been one person in the AFC who has defeated Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game that's currently an active player. And that person was hurt this past year. And that's why I think Baltimore had the success they had late in the year. And that was Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. T. Higgins is going to be back on the franchise tag. Jamar Chase is still there. Who knows? But running back is sort of in a relevant position. You can build around it. I think they'll go with more defense in the draft. I think they'll draft another lineman. Maybe they draft a Tyler Boyd replacement at the number 3 wide receiver. But as long as you have Joe Burrow, who is the stone cold side of Tom Brady that I don't even think Patrick Mahomes has, I think he is the league's best shot to stop Kansas City from repeating. And I don't think there's another close team in the AFC at least.
I agree with you. You know, people have said this all year. People forget the Bengals were bad, but Joe Burrow was hurt pretty much all year. Like, so, and you're right, Stone Cold, Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty, whatever you want to call him, this man is a natural born killer. He is a natural born killer, and the league should be scared.
Yeah, I think that people forget just how good he was. And by the way, they blew out San Francisco um, earlier before Burrow got hurt. And I think that's what propelled Baltimore to win the division, because even though Cincinnati was struggling, before Burrow got hurt, they were starting to seize. They won, I think, 5 out of their last 6 games or something like that. Again, I know every year is different. I know their defense wasn't as good as it was 2 years ago. But you could have made an argument that game in Kansas City 2 years ago, Cincinnati should have won that game. Kansas City got some breaks in officiating in that game, way more than they did in this past Super Bowl. And obviously, he beat them in Arrowhead before the previous year. So I think Cincinnati is the number 1 contender in the AFC. On the NFC side, listen, I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys at all. I think you can throw them out. San Francisco, I think, will be good again, but I think they are going to hit an eventual Super Bowl loser wall at some point. Green Bay is going to be good, but I don't know how quickly those receivers can develop to get them on the same level as Detroit. The way I see it, Jalen, I think your Detroit Lions with Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Aiden Hutchinson, both coordinators coming back, which is huge, by the way, in Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. And the fact that Jared Goff could only potentially play 2 cold weather games all year. That being at Green Bay and at Chicago. And if you get him early, there's a chance Jared Goff doesn't have to play in cold weather from November on. I think that bodes well for the Lions. I think it's them. And you may call me a homer here, but I do like the moves at coordinator that my Philadelphia Eagles have made. I think we're going to upgrade a corner. I just think last year was, again, sort of that Super Bowl loser syndrome, fatigue. I think there's going to be motivation. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a better year. I think Jason Kelce comes back for 1 more year. And if you give me the offensive line and defensive line of Philadelphia and a healthy Jalen Hurts with Kellen Moore running the show, I think this Eagles team could potentially make another deep playoff run. As I said the other day, I'm not going to predict Super Bowl for my team because every time I do, they don't make it. Every time I don't, they do. But I think Philly, Detroit, and Cincinnati are the 3 teams that Kansas City should most be afraid of to take the Lombardi Trophy away from them.
Yeah. Well, at that point, it's like, you're right. If Jared Goff gets those cold games and it gets them early, the NFL's in trouble. All right, I know what this man is capable of when he's not playing in the cold. When he's playing in warm weather, it's like he's in his prime. He's in his bag. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I do like the moves your Philadelphia Eagles made. And I'm calling my shot right now, though. I'll call it right now. Your next Super Bowl champions will be the Detroit Lions over the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
I like it. I like it. So this is something that we have talked about a little bit here on this show, and I know I've certainly addressed on Brandon's World. The NFL, and you agree with me, I know on this, Jalen, is so quarterback-centric that we can right now, again, we know there's teams that are going to be drafting in the draft. And CJ Stroud was a huge pop and a huge surprise last year for Houston, but it still took a Jacksonville collapse for them to win that division. You could right now sit there and pretty much say, these are going to be our playoff teams or close to being playoff contenders in each conference. AFC, Buffalo and Miami are going to be right there. AFC West, you obviously know Chiefs, Chargers. AFC North, Baltimore, Cincinnati. AFC South, Houston, Jacksonville, Indianapolis are all very good teams. The wild cards are essentially what's Pittsburgh going to do with the quarterback position, but will that be enough if Burrow and Lamar are healthy? what will Deshaun Watson do? But the Browns have a very tough schedule. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL next year on paper, especially at home. And, I know we've debated back and forth a lot about Kevin Stefanski. He's now won Coach of the Year 2 times. What will he do now in his 5th year with the Browns? But, you have Denver. We'll see what they do at the quarterback position. Jets, in my opinion, have to upgrade a lot on their offense to be serious Super Bowl contenders. I think in the NFC side, we know it's Philly, it's Dallas, it's San Francisco, it's Detroit, it's Green Bay, and probably Tampa Bay. And then a wild card team in the NFC, whether it be, Minnesota, Seattle, Rams, who have you, are not on the level of the previous teams I mentioned. So we can right now, even before free agency, even before the draft, pretty much guess who is going to be a playoff contender or near that playoff contending status just based off the quarterback and coach you have, because it's a quarterback coach league.
I agree. And that's what I was going to bring up is what is the situation with Pittsburgh? Are they going to land Justin Fields? If they do, that's a game changer right there.
See, I don't think so. I don't love that fit. I think it reminds me of what Chicago. Defensive coach, okay, weapons not great. Run the ball. Arthur Smith as your OC, whoop-de-doo. Like, I want to see Justin Fields with a Matt LaFleur like Bobby Slowick type, a bright, young, offensive-minded coach that could take his game to the next level. Like, I think Justin Fields, I'm going to be honest with you, I think he's Kenny Pickett with a better arm and a little better mobility. That's what I think he is.
Wow. Well, at least he's not Geno Smith.
Well, well, you know what? Seattle's going to be a very interesting team because I've been thinking about them. Michael Penix, Bo Nix, what have you. Of course, Josh, that goes back to our initial discussion with Jared Goff and Geno Smith, which we talked about way back when on championship rings.
I love you, Josh. I'm just pressing your buttons here, buddy. I love you.
All right, Jalen, we talked a lot of NFL on tonight's show. We're going to dive into this NBA story because this was crazy. So for those of you that are listening on the clips here on YouTube, Jalen Sandvick is here tonight. He is helping fill in for a ill Josh Ungar. Jalen, me and you have had a lot of back and forth about who the GOAT is between LeBron and Michael Jordan, but that is not this conversation. This conversation about Golden State calling up the Lakers at the NBA trade deadline and wanting to trade for LeBron James. And obviously the Lakers said no. LeBron and Rich Paul said no. Now, what is your take on this very fascinating situation?
Fascinating is the right word to use, my friend. Well, I don't have a take because it caught me so off guard. I can tell you exactly where I was when I got the ESPN alert. I was sitting in study hall and I said, whoa. That's all I said was whoa. Because something in my head just brought me back to 20. Remember in 2018 when they said the same thing? Remember when
And by the way, I was on the air at Blood Show Radio at the time telling the Cavs to trade for a back after he just went back to LA.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
remember that team was a disaster. They had like Lance Stevenson. They had all players that couldn't shoot. Lonzo Ball, who at the time was like shooting on the one side of his face.
Yeah, so this just threw me back through a loop. Like I felt I was like 15 again, 14 again, just like reading about this, like, oh my God. Because I don't know about you, but yes, I put LeBron in my top 5. But if he went to the enemy, would he really be top 5?
Yeah, see, there's a debate here, and my thought on it is that it would be ring chasing for both LeBron and Steph at that point. Now I don't know if you saw it today, but on Braden's World, I did a segment where I did my top 10 NBA teams that are under pressure to win this year's championship. It was not the top 10 teams in the NBA. It was just teams based off of your age, your players, injury situation. What's your pressure to win the championship this year? And I had both of these teams. I'm not going to spoil which order, but I had both of these teams on this list for similar reasons. Golden State, obviously, they're not even they're barely in the playing tournament right now, but they want to try to make this dynasty last for one more run. Steph, Clay, Draymond before they seemingly blow it up, and they're going to keep Steph Curry, and I would imagine dump Clay, and I would keep Draymond Green because I think he's the glue of the team. A lot of people don't love Draymond Green, like my usual partner. I think Draymond's one of the most fascinating players in all of the NBA. I think you can make an argument he's a top 10 valuable player in the NBA based off what he does for that team and that team alone. And then obviously, Laker wise, they have good players. LeBron, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, AD, who's actually healthy this year. They took Denver. I know they got swept, but they were in every single game and probably should have won at least two of those games. And then this year they rolled through whatever the hell the in-season tournament was. And then they just completely collapsed. And now they're starting to get back on their feet. So it would have seemed like a weird trade. I don't know what you could have got if you're the Lakers. Maybe Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins, which, I mean, what would that help? Again, if I was Golden State, I wouldn't have offered much. But if you're the Lakers, I think knowing that LeBron could opt out at the end of this free agency, this is all about Bronny James, right? Now, I don't know how good Bronny is. Some people think he's an NBA player. Some people don't think he's an NBA player. But what I do know is every NBA team is going to try to get him on his roster so they can sign LeBron because LeBron is still, I think he's still a top 3 player in the NBA. It just depends on who you like. A lot of people like these young kids more than I do. But LeBron can absolutely still put up 25 to 28 points a game. His average is still there. It's just in today's NBA, Jay, when me and you have talked about this a lot, there is so much talent in the league right now that a superstar cannot carry his own team. I mean, look at the MVP, Nikola Jokic. He even needed help from Jamal Murray and Porter and Aaron Gordon last year. Joel Embiid needed Tyrese Maxey. He needed James Harden when he was on the team. So it's more of a collaborative effort now in the NBA. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would have helped Golden State necessarily, and I don't think it would have helped the Lakers either.
Now, if you don't mind, can I go back to one of your statements for a second?
Sure.
What does Draymond do? What in God's name does Draymond Green do to that team?
Okay, Draymond Green is the Energizer Bunny. He is the glue to that team. He is the heart and soul of that team.
He hits people in the face. That's not glue. That's dirt.
And Draymond got hit in the face the other night, and they didn't call it, even though Nikola Jokic is soft, and Kevin Durant is what Draymond Green called him, and I can't repeat it here on the air. But we used to hate Golden State as Cavs fans, right? When we went through those wars for 4 straight years in 2015 and 2018. But I said, the more you watch Golden State, the more I respect them. I think Draymond Green is the only tough player left in the NBA. I mean, I'm watching the great Donovan Mitchell last night get in the face and stay down for what felt like 10 minutes. Dude, get up and start playing. I've said this for years. The NBA regular season product, there's a reason why people don't watch it because the league is soft. Draymond Green's one of the only top players left, and Golden State and their identity is all about Draymond Green, and they play different basketball when he's out there as opposed to when he's not out there. He's basically a wrestling manager enforcer.
He doesn't like playing without Steph there. By the way, props to Isaac Okoro. I'm sorry for everything I said about you, Isaac. That's for another topic. That's for Brandon's world. But shout out Isaac Okoro. That man's a bucket getter lately. But he doesn't like to play without Steph Curry on the floor. What is it? He's not a wrestling manager. He's not an enforcer. He's not anything. He's nothing. He is nothing.
He is the protector of Steph Curry and that Golden State brand.
Oh, so you're saying he's like the Usos and Steph's like Roman Reigns back in the day?
Yeah, I mean Steph Curry is the tribal chief of the Golden State Warriors. He is.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So what's interesting is a lot of people forgot that until the Boston NBA Finals 2 years ago. Steph Curry had never won a championship MVP on his own, essentially. Andre Iguodala in 2015, then Kevin Durant with the two championships. Curry proved his worth when each got that Boston team, with the original Golden State Three, and had one of the greatest game fours in the history of the finals to tie that series at 2 games apiece. Obviously, Golden State would go on to win. But we've seen, I don't know, Jalen, if it's the COVID era coming out of COVID. I mean, the last few years, we've had some of those random NBA finals. I think Nuggets Heat, to be honest with you, was pretty random and out of nowhere. Bucks Suns was pretty random and out of nowhere. This year, we got the T Wolves, the Thunder, the Pelicans, and the Cavs, and the Knicks all within the top 4 or 5 seeds in their respective conferences. It does feel like a shift in the NBA.
I love it. You know me. This is my favorite sport. I have deep love for football. You know this. But my love runs so deep ever since I was a little Jalen. You know me watching basketball. I love this. I love watching my Cavs every Wednesday, Thursday, whenever they're on. You know this. I'm a big JB hater, but that's for another topic. But yeah, this is awesome. And I love to see new teams getting a spotlight here. I love it. There's nothing more I love.
So we're going to move on because this weekend is NBA All-Star Weekend. So we're going to quickly go through all 4 of the events that are taking place on Saturday and then talk just a tiny bit about the game. So, Jalen, obviously we know it's in the house of the Indiana Pacers, the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Before we get into the All-Star activities, I'm going to ask you a general question and just – the last 10 years, I really feel like All-Star Weekend's been watered down. I'll give my thoughts on the dunk contest when we get to it. Obviously, it's not as good as it used to be. But what's your hype scale? You mentioned big fan of the NBA for NBA All-Star Weekend 2024.
I'm hyped because for the 3-point contest, mostly because Spider, Donovan Mitchell, will be representing the Cavs. So I'll obviously be watching out with that. And Mac McClung, I paid attention to Mac McClung for a long time when he was in high school with all those mixtapes during the mixtape era, doing windmills in the gym. So I love Mac McClung. So I'm kind of excited to see if he goes back to back.
All right, well, let's start off with the skills competition. It features Team Indiana Pacers, which is Tyrese Haliburton, Bennett Margarine, and Miles Turner. Team top picks, which include Orlando superstar young player Pablo Banchero, Anthony Edwards from the up and rising Minnesota Timberwolves, and my future GOAT, Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs, who put together a 10-block performance the other night, and Wemby's already wowing people in his rookie year. And then Team All-Stars, Scotty Barnes from the Raptors, Tyrese Maxey from the Sixers, and little ashtray Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks. Your pick to win this skills competition.
Man, I'm going with Wemby's team, man. Wemby's just too good. He can do everything. He can pass. He can shoot the ball. He makes the game as a big man. A lot of big men don't make the game look pretty. He makes the game look pretty.
So, quick aside here, when Jalen was on Brandon's World, it was the summer before. I think it was like February of last year, before Victor Wembanyama was drafted by the Spurs later in the summer. And I was telling him about Victor Wembanyama. And he goes, "Oh, I haven't really ever heard of him yet. I do my draft study, when the season ends." So I told him, go on YouTube and type in Victor Wembanyama and look up his highlights. And he just texted me back and said, "Whoa. Yeah. The Spurs got themselves the next great NBA player. I firmly believe that that's the only reason why Greg Popovich is not retired yet. And I'm also going with Team Wemby. I think that, what's their team name? The Team All-Stars, Scotty Barnes, Maxey, Trae Young. They're a little bit small. I think having 2 point guards in the competition is not great. And Team Indiana, Bennett Margarine's a really good, nice player. Tyrese Haliburton is obviously broke out this year. Miles Turner's a great big, but they don't have the star power of Pablo Banchero, Anthony Edwards, and Victor Wembanyama. I am with you there. So let's go to the 3-point contest, Jalen. Damian Lillard, Malik Beasley, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Carl Anthony Towns, Trey Young, our Cleveland Cavalier Donovan Mitchell, and former Cleveland Cavalier Lauri Markkanen will look to win this year's 3-point contest, which was won last year by current Milwaukee Buck, who was a Portland Trailblazer at the time, Damian Lillard. Who is your pick for the 3-point contest?
I'm going with the Spider, man.
Okay.
It might be a bit biased, but I'm taking Spider. If he gets hot, it's dangerous.
So I will say that as the NBA All-Star Weekend has sort of evolved, the 3-point contest has become my favorite contest of the entire weekend. I think that it creates some of the most drama, and I think this year it's got the most star power. I love a lot of people on this list. I'm going to go with a sneaky candidate, though. I'm going to go with one of the big men. I'm going to go with Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz, because when that man gets hot, you talk about somebody that gets hot. Oftentimes we've seen players like a Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson have success in 3-point contests. Other years they don't. I think Trey Young is sort of in that category as well. I think Jalen Brunson's a good player. I don't think he's necessarily, built for this sort of competition. I sort of feel the same way about Donovan Mitchell. He's a very good shooter, but I think in this style where, could be sort of rushed, he could either do really good or really bad, I feel like, depending on if his shot's going down. I think Lauri Markkanen has one of the sweetest strokes as a big man, not only in today's NBA, but that I've ever seen. And I think, it was worth it, obviously, for the Cavs, giving him up to get Donovan Mitchell. But what a piece he was to that Utah club. And I'm going with the big man to win the 3-point contest.
I can see that. I like that. I hope he does. If it's not Donovan, I hope it's Lauri.
And now we go to an event that I know my partner Josh Ungar is very much looking forward to, that being a special 3-point contest between Steph Curry and New York Liberty guard Sabrina, and I apologize for probably butchering this name, Anawasku. Steph Curry will be shooting with NBA 3-point bombs in the NBA 3-point line. The WNBA line Sabrina will be shooting from, which is a little bit closer, and she will also be using WNBA balls in this NBA WNBA crossover.
I got Sabrina, man. She gets hot. She gets hot, buddy. That's end of story for Steph. Steph ain't got it no more. He ain't got it like he used to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say Steph. I just think that Steph is going to go out there. He may not miss a shot for all we know. Again, I feel like this is one of those cases where whoever gets hot early is going to win this contest. I haven't seen Sabrina shoot as much. From my understanding, she is the Steph Curry of the WNBA. I know fans of both leagues really want to see this contest. But I'm going with Steph mostly because I haven't seen a lot of Sabrina. And so just not knowing that, I understand how good of a 3-point shooter she is. But like I said, I haven't seen a ton of her, so I'm going to take Steph. And with that, let's go to what, in my opinion, is maybe the worst dunk contest field I've ever seen. We have 2 G League players, a guy named Jamie Jaquez Jr., which I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of, for the Miami Heat, and Jaylen Brown, who's not really a freaking dunker for the Boston Celtics. So I know Josh Unger is going to get mad at me for saying this, but he is better than Jason Tatum. I don't know.
He is.
We will talk about that, obviously, as Boston's cruising when we get into more of our NBA debate topic now that we're in the NFL offseason. Jalen McClung, I got to be honest, I completely forgot he won last year's dunk contest.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
I think the dunk contest is a freaking joke, man. Like, whatever the days when they were jumping over cars. Now it's all I slammed the ball in twice, give him a 10. Cody Smith standing up going, come on, everybody, let's go. I think this is a joke, man. Like, what happened to the good old days when the late, great Kobe Bean Bryant, when guys like Dwight Howard, Nate freaking Robinson was more entertaining with this than these guys. I mean, I always wasn't get excited for a dunk contest with players we don't even freaking know.
You forgot to leave one guy out. Best hops ever, Josh Smith. I love me some
Josh
Smith.
Smith, man, that's a throwback.
Yes, sir. But I got McClung here. I love Mac McClung, and I agree. This is a joke. We haven't seen a good dunk contest since like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, that Aaron Gordon dunk contest that everybody says was great. I thought it was okay. I think it's good by modern day standard. Like everybody that says that was one of the greatest dunk contests ever didn't watch any of the dunk contests from the damn mid 2000s or the 90s when it actually meant something.
Bro sat in midair. How in the top dunk contest? Dude sat in midair. That's impressive.
The last good dunk moment I remember is Blake Griffin when he was a young Clipper jumping over a car.
Yep. Yeah. That was crazy. I remember that. That was that's my first I can remember the whole thing All-Star weekend. That was nuts. Remember, and then it was the Kia commercial for that whole season.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's when he jumped over was a Kia. Okay, so let's get into the game because it's West versus East again, and I got to be honest with you, I don't know how I feel about it because I thought, I always think the MLB All-Star Game is obviously the best All-Star game, because they actually try. But I thought at least when you had the Kobe Bryant Memorial and you were playing for charity at the end of the first quarter and you were playing to a target score, I thought they actually tried at least in the fourth quarter. What I want the NBA to do is to actually play a game. Don't give up these wide open threes. I think there was some stat. I think Chris Broussard today said it on First Things First. There was like 170 or something threes attempted in last year's game, which was the most ever. There was only 7 fouls in the game, which is a complete joke. Like, I understand it at the first quarter and maybe midway for the second, if you want to, clown around, if you will, and put different people in and not play that much defense. But second half, these guys need to play at least one half legitimately of basketball to make this thing worth it, because just playing defense for the last 5 minutes, well, I've been watching guys, go back and forth, and Kawhi Leonard is in the game this year, and let's hope he doesn't tear his ACL by not playing any defense because he's brittle as bones. LeBron's been hurt. He's going to play. Like, I don't want guys to get hurt, but I want to see some freaking competition, man. Like, just watching these guys go up and down the field giving alley-oops to each other is boring as hell.
I'm pretty sure in the 90s, there used to be, if you won the All-Star game, you would get some sort of incentive.
Yeah, I think easily a money advantage. And then if you remember, baseball did this for years, which I thought was great. If you won the All-Star game, you got home field advantage in the World Series.
Yeah, I like that. But you can't really, you could do that with basketball.
You could if your conference wins the All-Star game, you get home field advantage in the finals.
I like that.
Well, what I always thought of is like, if you win the All-Star game, you get cash. But then, I don't know. Something about maybe next year's draft as well, you get an extra first-round pick that gets added on to the end of the lottery or something like that. I don't know. So it doesn't, wreck if, let's say, the 8th seed Miami Heat, if the Eastern Conference won the All-Star game last year, let's say, Miami would have got home field over Denver, which I get wouldn't really have been that fair. So that's an idea I thought of. I mean, it's tough, but we saw it with the in-season tournament. Players wanted to play because they wanted that money. I didn't realize, I guess money does buy happiness everywhere in the NBA. So give everybody that wins an extra $500,000, same thing you would give with the NBA in-season tournament, and let these guys play a freaking game, man.
Yeah, I agree.
As regards to who's going to win the game, I think the West has better overall talent. Obviously, just off the top of my head, LeBron, Durant, Steph, Anthony Edwards, obviously, Shea Gilders-Alexander, Jokic. I'm just rattling off names at this point. We know Luka Doncic. We know how deep the West is. For the East, in my opinion, it's really, Giannis, Dame, and Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell are sort of your guys. Jalen Brunson's a nice player. I think Tyrese Halliburton's a very nice player. I don't know if they are number ones. I think the West has more top tier in talent, and that's why I'll pick them to win the game. And MVP, I think is an interesting conversation. I think it's going to be one of these young guys. I think from the West, Anthony Edwards or Shea Gilders-Alexander, as they try to prove that their young teams have arrived and they are here to stay.
I think it's gonna be Shea. I think this man is just fun to watch. He can pull out some crazy stuff because I know for damn sure they're not gonna play any defense. Um, I might not be able to say that on the air. That's my fault, but I know for sure they're not gonna play any defense. So it's like Shea's gonna have some fun. I think if the East wins, it's easily going to Tatum, uh, or Mitchell, but Tatum more than likely for the East. But yeah, for now I'm going with Shea as the MVP.
The interesting thing is Doc Rivers got to Milwaukee 3 weeks ago, and he's coaching the East in the All-Star game.
That's the most BS thing I've ever seen. It should be JB. You know how much I hate. That's how they should have did it. It should be JB.
I give it to Joe Mazzulla, even though we don't know Joe Mazzulla can coach.
We're second seed. What? That's how it should work.
Yeah, we're second seed, but we almost lost the damn Bulls last night because JB decided not to phone Nikola Jokic. I'm down there losing my mind again.
Oh my god.
Nonetheless, I regress. Okay, Jalen, our final topic of the night. We gotta talk about, can you smell what The Rock is turning heel? We now know the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania will feature the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, against the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, the Trouble Chief, out of the table, Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship. The Rock will be in Roman Reigns' corner. Looks like Seth Rollins could be in Cody Rhodes' corner. We could get a match at night 1 between Cody and Seth, Roman and Rock, which means who knows what it's going to mean for the World Heavyweight Championship on night 2. I don't know. I'm very excited. I have no idea how WWE is going to book this. They completely pulled this storyline out of their ass. And even though I was okay with Roman Reigns versus The Rock, I think WWE made a pivot. And I think that all fans are very excited because we don't know whether this is a work. We don't know whether it's a shoot. And this is going to be a very fascinating thing to dive into.
Oh, man. The text I sent you the night that Rock came back, my string of my rant, my good 5 to 6 of just chewing out The Rock and how much I don't want him to take Cody's spotlight. Oh man, I'm so invested again, and I love it. I love it. I love it so much. You have no idea.
So, by the way, quick note from Josh on our last topic. I'll put it up on screen here. Joe Mazzulla cannot coach the All-Star game this season because he was the coach of the All-Star team last season. I had no idea that was a rule. Thank you, Josh, for chiming in. Again, we hope that you do feel better. But back to this Rock, Cody Rhodes thing. Jalen, I told you all along, I like Cody Rhodes. I don't feel like Cody Rhodes should finish his story. I may be the only person in the world, but what are you going to do with Cody after he finishes his story? Because that's been an old WWE gimmick for the last 2 years. I had to finish the story. I have to finish the story. Well, what if you don't? What if you have to go for The Rock? What if you have to go for Roman Reigns? What if Seth Rollins turns heel on you, David, and you have to go through another year? Maybe you got to go through a Braun Breaker who potentially joins the bloodline. I don't know. You got to go through, Gunther and the Intercontinental Championship. Who knows? Then you get to the Royal Rumble the next year. You got to face CM Punk, who will be in at number 30, and Punk will get his revenge and throw you over the top rope. Then you got to go through the Elimination Chamber to finally get back to what I believe will still be the undisputed champion, Roman Reigns. and it was Roman Reigns to break Hulk Hogan's record. You can do Roman Reigns against The Rock. You don't even have to do it at WrestleMania. You could do it at the Royal Rumble. And it sounds like WrestleMania 41 is not going to be in Minnesota as originally anticipated. It sounds like it's going to be in Las Vegas. What a better place for Cody Rhodes to end the story with Roman Reigns than doing it in the same city that he called the tribal chief out on at that press conference the year before it would be Las Vegas, Nevada, with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk ending their stories to end WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas.
I don't agree. You know this. I don't agree. I want this story to be written and finished, and I want a sequel to be written about how Cody was the champion. You don't know how bad I want this. I want this more than I wanted CM Punk to win the Royal Rumble. I want this more than anything, Brandon. And you saying Cody's not the guy. Cody should change the story forever. Oh, it aggravates me to my core. It aggravates me, Brandon.
See, no, here's the thing. I think the outrage came when Cody won the Rumble. If Cody did not win the Royal Rumble and CM Punk won the Rumble and they just had to pivot to what they're doing now on Raw and you had Rock versus Roman, people wouldn't get upset. The reason why people were upset was because Cody won the Rumble and he pointed right at Roman Reigns when reportedly it was going to be Rock versus Roman Reigns all along. Listen, I think Cody Rhodes is great. I think he could be the next John Cena, the super over babyface in WWE. But he does not have, in my opinion, the marketing power and the draw power that The Rock has. And he does not have the guy, the person, Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, who has carried this company on his back for the last 3 years. There's a reason why Roman Reigns is still at the top of merchandise sales. There's a reason why, even though he's booed heavily, people still put their ones to the sky every time that man comes out because he is aura. He is special. He is the tribal chief. He is the head of the table. And people hate him because they can't stand him because he is greatness on a different level. And could you imagine the heel heat? You already think this man gets booed. Imagine the booing the man gets when Cody gets screwed again in the main event of WrestleMania 40.
I really hope not. I'd stop watching the product. I don't think I can bring myself.
Everybody says that, but I guarantee you wouldn't because the next year you're going to come back. You're going to say, I want Cody, I want Cody, I want Cody. Because everybody always said it. I was the one person that said when Golden State got DeMarcus Cousins the year after they went back-to-back with Durant's, I said, I'm not watching the NBA that year. And you know what? I actually did it. So for people that say, oh, The Rock is not a draw, I'm going to stop watching WWE at this BS. You know what? SmackDown at its highest rating in nearly 3 years this past Friday because people are interested in this story and they will continue to be interested until Cody is champion. And then once Cody is champion, you know what's going to happen? Just like what happened when Seth Rollins was champion. Oh, Cody Rhodes is boring. He sucks. Get the belt off Cody, because that's what the wrestling community has turned into. The money is in the chase, and once the chase is done, people are ready to move on to the next guy.
I will never say that about Cody Rhodes. You know this. I followed this man after he left. I followed him to AEW, which is in the dumps right now. You're right. They can't sell out a damn bingo hall.
There we go. Thank you.
They really can't. I still enjoy their product, but they really can't. Tony Khan is a mark, and he needs to step it up, but he's not a businessman. But I guess being a mark is being better than what some people are in this business right now. We can't speak on that on the air, obviously.
Oh, man.
But it is the road to WrestleMania, Brandon, and I'm strapped in like I'm 10 years old again, and I'm ready to go.
Man, if WrestleMania 40 tickets were not so damn expensive, I would be there in Philly, the home of my Philadelphia Eagles. Unfortunately, that does not look like it's going to be the case. I keep looking on StubHub every single freaking day to see if there is some sort of affordable ticket, but it's just not worth pretty much my whole wife's savings to go to an event when I could have a perfectly safe spot on my couch to watch what I will believe will be the most watched WrestleMania of all time, the most anticipated match of WrestleMania of all time, that being the main event night 2 between Cody and Roman. Does Stone Cold Steve Austin come out? Does the likes of Randy Orton, LA Knight, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles all come out to um help Cody? It's so fascinating. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I'll tell you what, though. I hope to God that Pat McAfee is sitting ringside regardless of what happens. Please, for the love of God.
You know what? I think that they're gonna book Pat in a match against Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. That's where I think it's all leading to.
But you can't do that. He dances to him every Monday. You can't.
No, he stopped dancing to him now. Now that Shinsuke's a heel, now he supports Jey Uso.
Well, Jey Uso. Oh, yeah, that was funny. When he stood up on the chair. That was awesome. Shout out Pat McAfee.
Pat show, man. Sometimes it can be the biggest clown show, but he fits WWE so perfectly.
He fits life so perfectly, man. Just like, if I want a good vibe, I turn on Pat's show. If I want to laugh, I turn on Pat's show. If I want to hear Aaron Rodgers say something stupid back in the day, I turn on Pat's show. But man, for the love of everything holy, it's freaking Mania season, baby, and I'm so amped.
We are, as of today, we are 51 days away. In my room downstairs, I have a dry erase board that has the countdown up. That's how excited I am for this year. WrestleMania 40. It looks like we're going to get Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship, Bayley and Io Sky for the Women's Championship. The question I have is, what the hell are we going to do, Jalen, about the World Heavyweight Championship? Is it going to be Rollins and McIntyre? Is it going to be Rollins, McIntyre, Sami Zayn? Does it take place on night 1? Does it take place on night 2? Is our main event of night 1 a tag team match in Rollins and Rhodes against The Rock and Roman? I have no idea.
I have no idea either, and I'm excited. I hope it's, well, I kind of wanted it to be LA Knight in Rollins, just to give.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
think it's going to be Logan Paul and LA Knight for the U.S. title myself.
And he'll tell Logan Paul where he can stick each one of those bottles of Prime. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this, man. There's so many possibilities. I haven't been this amped for wrestling in so long.
Yeah.
Papa H, you are doing such great things right now. I love it.
You can make a case that, and I'm not trying, and there was a huge debate online this week about eras in WWE. I'm here to say I think you can make a case. This WWE roster is even deeper, and we are in a booming time of wrestling. It may not get the ratings as much as the Attitude Era, but this may be the best overall product WWE has had in a long time, because if you watch the Attitude Era, it was a lot of great, but it was a lot of garbage as well. We're not getting a lot of garbage right now.
No, hear me out, Brandon. You know this. I've been an NXT fan for a long time, right? You know this.
Yes, sir.
So, ran by who?
HB Shizzle.
Exactly. But back in the day, ran by who?
Paul Triple H Levesque.
Exactly. Main roster product. Ran by who right now?
Paul Triple H Levesque.
This man knows how to cook. All right? Let him cook. Give him the keys. Give him everything you own. If you can put on a mania like this, you have my praise, sir. You have everything. You can have whatever you want, buddy. This is great. I love this.
As I've been telling Josh, as I've been telling you, and I've been telling all wrestling fans that'll listen to me, you guys can like AEW and New Japan and TNA and all these wrestling companies all you want. Right now, from merchandise sales to ticket sales to excitement to buzz, WWE, I can make an argument, has never been more popular.
I love it, man. I love it. It's to the point where my friends who haven't watched the product in years are circling back. And
Yes.
I
And
love this.
this is where, by the way, this is where, no disrespect to Cody, but this is where I did defend if they were going to do Rock and Roman, because I had many people, I should say, who have tuned in and out of wrestling for years, asked me about my thoughts on The Rock coming back because they saw it on the internet. Because that is the power of star power. And I do think that after the Brock Lesnar allegations and seeing Punk going down and everything, you needed Rock for this WrestleMania because this WrestleMania has to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time. No disrespect to any of those superstars, but you need the whites of the Rock. If you can get Stone Cold, bring him in. If you can get the damn Undertaker, bring him in. Triple H is involved right now in this storyline because this WWE product needs to be on these two nights in Philadelphia, star powered, littered with not only the past but the present as well.
Now, I want to tell you a storyline that could possibly that I just create. Like I just thought about this, right?
All right, go ahead as we're wrapping up the show. Go ahead and give it to us.
Let's wrap it up with this one because a lot of you guys will think about this one. What if WrestleMania 40, as you said, what if Cody is champion, right? But then he goes in there. I don't know who he's going to face yet. I haven't thought about this. But Roman's going to be gone for a long time, right? Up to this point. If he loses, we know he's taking a little bit of a hiatus.
Okay, so you're saying after Cody wins.
Right. So Cody wins, right?
Okay.
Where is CM Punk? WrestleMania 40. Cody and someone else laid out. We need another heel. Jump through the crowd. Or you can hear the noise. Cult of personality. Turns on Cody Rhodes. Cost Cody the belt. We got a brand new heel, and his name is CM Phil Brooks Punk.
Wait, so Cody wins and then Priest cashes in Money in the Bank and Punk helps Priest win? Is that what you'd say?
I like that. I like that.
Man, that would make Damian Priest a huge freaking heel. I think Priest cashes in as the winner of the World Heavyweight Championship match, which I think will be Sami Zayn, who will pin Seth Rollins. Damian Priest will cash in on Sami, and Drew will get screwed again. We need another tirade from McIntyre.
Before we wrap it up, I just want everyone to know that R-Truth is in fact in Judgment Day.
R-Truth is a damn member of the Judgment Day, and I'm sorry if you don't like the storyline with R-Truth. In my opinion, you just don't get the sports entertainment part of wrestling.
I agree. I've never agreed more.
All right, and with that, Jalen Sandvick, thank you for tuning in. Josh Ungar, thank you for putting your comments in the comment section. We will be back next Tuesday. Hopefully, Josh will be here with me at the desk. Jalen, I'm going to let you shout out your social medias before we head out.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Follow me on Instagram at JSandvick2005. I post about sports. Lately, I've been posting a lot of Travis Kelce because I can't get enough of that man. He's awesome. He's just fun. But you guys ever want to debate sports? My DMs are open. Josh, I really want to talk to you about Geno Smith. We could do that anytime. But I greatly appreciate you guys. You guys make my day every Thursday when I watch the show. You guys are awesome. And Brandon, thank you for the opportunity.
Jalen, I almost called you Josh. Jalen, you guys have the same J in your name. Yeah, absolute pleasure to do this show with you. Josh, as you know, it's always an absolute pleasure. Subscribe to Championship Rings on YouTube at Championship Rings 216. Follow us on Twitter at Ring Champion, Instagram Ring Champion, Facebook at Ring Champion 216. We are live usually every Tuesday night. Had to do it Thursday this week. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as we are in collaboration with the one, the only Voltage Live. We'll see you guys back here next Tuesday night, and peace.